In news this week, education support for Iraqis fleeing ISIS. 200 years of Wesleyan ministry in Australia. And using talent and trick shots to do good.
This is InFocus Christian News and Current Affairs.
The Adventist Development and Relief Agency, or ADRA, has been working in northern Iraq to help families who have fled from ongoing violence. Out of the 3 million Iraqis who have been displaced by violence so far, 50% of them have fled to the Kurdish-controlled zone. For more than 6 months, ADRA has been helping displaced families by helping restore livelihoods and providing informal education. Volunteer teachers, with the support of local Kurdish authorities, are able to teach small children in an informal school. For each child attending, ADRA provides a nutritious meal as part of the daily program. Meanwhile, Catholic leaders in the Kurdish-controlled region of Iraq are embarked on a much more ambitious plan to establish a university. According to The Tablet, the university is intended to focus on providing higher education for the religious minorities of the region, Christians and Yazidis in particular. The Chaldean Catholic Archbishop of Erbil says establishing the university will send a message to ISIS that the region's Christians are not going to go away. At a global gathering of Catholic university representatives in Melbourne, the Archbishop thanked the Church in Australia for its support, including a $500,000 donation last year. The new university is due to begin classes next month. International human rights groups are raising their concerns about a new law passed by Myanmar's parliament that is likely to make it difficult for individuals to change their religion. According to Mission Network News, the law was the brainchild of the nationalist Buddhist monk movement. From now on, government approval is required for anyone who wants to change their religion. Critics are concerned that the law will mean a long and costly process for anyone who wants to leave Buddhism, particularly if they are choosing to become Muslim or Christian. Myanmar already has tough laws aimed at religious and ethnic minority groups, limiting the size of their families and cracking down on interfaith marriage. In Italy, a nation where 97.9% of the population identifies as Catholic, authorities have agreed to name a central city square in Rome in honour of the Protestant reformer Martin Luther. Even the Vatican, which excommunicated Martin Luther in the year 1521, is in favour of the plan. They say it's in keeping with the ecumenical efforts of the Catholic Church. According to Religion News Service, the decision to name the square after Martin Luther was not an easy one. It took 6 years for local authorities to process. Local press reports say the original request to honour Martin Luther in this way came from the Seventh-day Adventist Church. History is also being remembered in Australia, with celebrations being held in Sydney to mark 200 years from the arrival of the nation's first Methodist minister. After requests from the colony, Methodist leaders in Britain sent the Reverend Samuel Lee, who arrived in New South Wales in 1815 and later travelled to New Zealand as well. Reverend Lee excelled himself as a pastor, sometimes travelling long distances on horseback to visit his flock. He was also known as a man of compassion who reached out to the poor as well as to Indigenous Australians. The 200th anniversary celebrations were held at Sydney's Wesley Centre. Australia's 5-yearly census gives a valuable snapshot into national trends, but a slight change to next year's census form is likely to boost the numbers of Australians who say they have no religion. For the first time, the census form will put the no religion option ahead of the rest rather than at the bottom. Results from other surveys, including the New Zealand census, indicate that listing no religion first can produce an increase of 7 or 8%. According to the Sydney Morning Herald, a number of secularist groups lobbied the Australian Bureau of Statistics to make the change after the last census, which found that 61% of Australians identify as Christians. Amid much pomp and ceremony, Tupou VI has been officially crowned King of Tonga. The proud Polynesian nation, which has never been colonised, welcomed thousands of Tongans and overseas dignitaries to the coronation. As well as observing the indigenous traditions of Tonga, the royal family asked for the nation's churches to be involved in different aspects of the three-day celebration. The Adventist church was given charge of the early morning program, prayer, 30 minutes of physical exercise, and breakfast. Church leaders said it was a great way to build relationships and a sense of community. Church media producers in Germany say they have a new way to help young adults engage meaningfully with the Bible. This report from Adventist News Network.
I'm gonna die. At least that's what the doctors told me.
How exactly would you like me to help you?
We want millennials to watch the series, become interested in the spiritual issues, and then we direct them to the Bible for answers. We labeled Encounters not a Bible study program, but a Bible reading movement, because it is not the traditional top-down dogmatic instruction, but rather a text-centered, interactive process of exploration and discovery.
Don't you believe that God could heal that person?
I believe God can do anything, but I know He doesn't always do it.
But how can you be so sure?
I'm not.
It's the job most of us can only dream about, doing something fun that you love that makes money for you as well as for others in need. What started with mucking about in the backyard has turned into a YouTube sensation for these three young men, with their basketball trick shot videos attracting 30 million views and the advertising revenue to match. According to Eternity News, Scott, Derek and Brett, who all attend the same church in Perth, Western Australia, have been using their profile and earnings to help get children out of poverty through Christian organisation Compassion. And earlier this year, the lads broke the record for the world's highest basketball shot during a visit to Gordon Dam in Tasmania.
Light.
And that's the news for this week. For current affairs analysis, lifestyle tips, and in-depth interviews, check out the full half hour of Record in Focus at our website, record.net.au. All the best, and I'll see you next time.